Hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make a quick and easy apple cake, and I'm going to do this in a 6-cup bundt tin, but you could easily use a 2-pound loaf tin. It would work just as well. I think you could probably use a 9-inch, 8-inch or 9-inch round cake tin. That would also work well, but I'm doing it in the bundt tin and it should be perfectly fine. So it's a very straightforward recipe, and I start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I have greased and floured my 6-cup bundt tin. In fact, I've used one of those sprays which works very well. If you were using a loaf tin, you could even line it with parchment paper if you wanted to. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 200 grams, which is 1 1/3 cups based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of self-raising flour. Now you could use the same amount of plain flour, but to do that you would then need to add in 8 grams 2 teaspoons of baking powder as well. I have 350 grams, 12 ounces of diced apple. So I'm not saying the number of apples to use. I've diced my apple and I've weighed that, and that's 350 grams, which is 12 ounces. I have 65 grams, 5 tablespoons plus a teaspoon of caster sugar, 110 grams, 5 tablespoons plus a teaspoon of golden syrup, 100 grams, 7 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter, 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt, 120 millilitres, half a cup of milk, and 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. So that's all the ingredients, and we need to cream the butter and the sugar and the golden syrup together to start with. So I'll put those into a bowl. And I'm going to use my hand mixer, but you could do this by hand if you wanted to, because it's a very simple recipe. So I'm going to cream these together until the sugar is sort of quite pale and fluffy. And that's good like that. So then I'm going to put my eggs in. I'll do them one at a time. And I'll whisk that to combine it. Then I'll put the other one in and do the same. And that's good. So then I'm going to add in my flour, and I'm going to put this in 3 additions, and between each addition of the flour I'm going to add in half of my milk. So that's the first part of the flour. I'll mix that through on a low speed. And with that almost mixed in, I pour in about half of the milk and mix that in, and then I'll do the flour again, the milk, and then the flour for the last time, and I will fold that in at the end. So that's the flour and the eggs, sorry, the flour and the milk, 2 lots of flour and all of the milk has gone in. So then I'm going to put the remaining flour in and I'm going to fold that through. And with that almost folded through, I'm going to pour in my apples as well and stir those through. And that's good like that. So then I'm going to put that into my cake pan. And with that in the pan, I'm going to just spread that around to level it off a little bit. And that's good like that. So then I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for 40 to 50 minutes. It should rise up quite nicely in the oven. It's full of apples, so it's going to be a nice heavy cake, but I will test it with a skewer and that should come out clean. I'll test it at 40 minutes. If it doesn't come out clean, I'll leave it for longer. And then when it does come out clean, I take it out of the oven and leave it in the cake tin for about 15 minutes before turning it out onto a wire rack. And then once it's cooled completely, I'll come back and show you the results. I baked my simple apple cake for 45 minutes. I did test it after 40 minutes and I thought it was probably still a little bit moist. It rose up very nicely, but I tested again after 45 minutes and my skewer came out perfectly clean. So I took it out of the oven and left it in the tin for 15 minutes. Then I turned it out onto a wire rack and cooled it. I've now cut a slice. Now, after taking it out of the oven, it did sink down just a little bit, but I would expect that because this is very, very full of apples. And they are going to release quite a lot of moisture during the baking, so it's going to be a very moist cake. Perfect, I think, not only eating as a cake, but having as a dessert with some ice cream or some whipped cream or some custard. So I'll show you what it looks like. So as I said, it's baked up quite nicely and you can see the apple pieces in there. It's going to be very moist, so I'll have a taste of one of the pieces I've cut. That is delicious. It has a wonderful apple flavour, and the apple still has a little bit of bite to it when you bite into it. So that's very, very good. And then the cake, not overly sweet, but just giving a nice flavour and a nice texture to go with the apple. And as I said, perfect to serve as a dessert in any way you wish, even with some fruit compote over the top or something like that as well, I think. But I will eat mine just as a cake with my afternoon tea. So That's going to be it for this easy recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.